Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the news briefing on this Wednesday, June 11th. For many months, the County of Monterey has coordinated and gathered resources and information regarding immigration issues for both people and their employers. We're now seeing situations in other communities that raise concerns for a lot of people. So this is a really good time, we think, to bring back this information and remind people of what is available to them. And for that, we're very pleased to have Blanca Zarazua with us. She is a local attorney, but she is also the Honorary Consul of Mexico. So she is extremely well informed on these issues. Blanca, thank you very much for joining us today to provide this information.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I just want to say buenos dias, good morning to everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I do want to clarify that I'm speaking as an attorney only. I'm not authorized to speak on behalf of the Mexican consulate on this issue today. Excuse me. I want to remind everyone that we need to really try to disseminate a feeling of calm. It's very difficult when such horrific and tragic events are happening throughout the country and next door. But it's really part of our leadership duty to have people try to be as calm as possible. In Spanish, I say, let's take that fear and turn it into concern, and the concern into strategy. And so I'm hoping that a lot of people are following that guideline. And again, I know it's difficult, but let's try to be calm because if we're calm, we're going to make better decisions about everything from opening the door or not, opening our mouth or not. Try to remain calm. So I just received a copy of a motion for a temporary restraining order, which was filed by the California Attorney General's office. And the hearing will take place tomorrow. And this is because of all that's been going on in Los Angeles with the Marines and the National Guards being brought to that area of Southern California. And we'll see how that goes. That's the hearing is tomorrow, and it'll be interesting to see what progress is made or not with respect to that motion. I will tell you that this environment is testing my ability to learn. I've learned all my life. I went to school until I was 32 years old, and here I am still learning. I had 2 webinars this morning because we are having to digest so many changes and new technical challenges every day. At the courthouses and at the when people need to check in, maybe they've been checking in with immigration for years, and they have maybe a yearly physical check-in or some other type of interview or physical appearance, for example, in immigration court, because they're trying to comply with their obligations. We've seen a huge uptick in detentions with respect to these appearances. And in immigration court, what happens is that the government attorney will request a dismissal, and the judge may or may not grant it. And then if the dismissal goes through, the judge then may lose jurisdiction over the case. And then the client leaves the courtroom and ICE is outside ready to arrest them. And it's very traumatic. It's very unnerving for us. It makes it very complicated to give advice to clients other than assume the worst, because that's really our duty right now. Just assume the worst, because we have US citizens, all kinds of people. I just learned this morning that they're looking at 9,000 people, vetting them to see if they're going to be shipped to Guantanamo. And so things are going to be more and more challenging, not just technically, but emotionally. And I think we need to prepare, not just as an individual or as a family, but as a community. We need to prepare for the worst and look to each other for support, again, technically and emotionally, so we can weather this storm. There are family plans available out there. You need to sit down with your children, with your family, with your partner, and just assume there's going to be an earthquake. That's what I bring up and make that analogy. There's going to be an earthquake. What are you going to do? Don't wait till it happens before you plan things out. And so there are many groups. There's a Monterey County website, Immigration Task Force website that has a lot of resources. There's one attorney in Aptos who speaks Spanish. It's harmonylaw.net, harmony as in piano, harmony law.net. Her name is Tanya, and you can find her there and you can sit down with her and set up an action plan. But there are plenty of resources online for you to sit down and decide what sensitive documents you need to have ready to go in case you're not there this evening when you go wherever. You need to do that just for your children's sake and for your own sanity. Channel that anxiety into strategy and planning. We at our office are giving out free emergency packets. The packet will have a red card, which basically reminds you, you don't need it. You need to remind yourself that you have the right to remain silent. It's a constitutional right, and you can exercise it without the red card. But it's nice to have the red card to hand to the official so you don't have to blurt out the whole statement of saying, I'm going to exercise my right under the Constitution to not speak. Just hand the red card to the person. At ilrc.org, Immigration Legal Resource Center.org, you can print out the contents of the red card so that if you don't have the red card, you can print it and cut it out and stick it in your wallet, your purse, whatever. So it's there in English and Spanish. And there's so many resources out there. And if you're not very comfortable with using the internet, get some other person who is. And there's just plenty of resources out there and community action groups doing things. So we have the red card in our emergency packet, and you can call my office and my staff. You won't talk to me, but my staff will give you an emergency packet, 831-422-0302. And the most important part of the emergency packet, I think, is this one page from a consent form. There's a consent form that immigration lawyers need. It's called the G28. G as in George, 28. And before January 20th, I was pushing that everybody should have a signed G28. It's page 3, bottom left. Everybody who's out there needs to sign one and keep it in the kitchen drawer or wherever, because any attorney who is called to represent you if you're detained will need that consent form. The rest of the form can be filled out by family members or friends. It's not difficult information, just address, name, etc. But we cannot get a wet signature if you're detained. So let's get that signature now and just stash it just in case we need it. And we're being preventative and proactive and kind of getting the upper hand, because it is a pretext for the government to say, I can't tell you anything about that case. I can't tell you about that client. We don't have your consent. I've tried to set up virtual appointments with people who are in detention. And of course, they always ask for the G28. So those are my tidbits for today. I don't want to go on too long. And I'm certainly open for questions either now or after this session. My email address is Blanca@Zaralaw, ZARALAW.com. Or for Spanish speakers, Blanca@suabogada, one phrase, suabogada.com. Thank you very much.
Blanca, first, thank you so much for walking fairly systematically through what people need. I'm wondering if I hate to have you repeat it, but for those who might absorb information better in Spanish or prefer that, I'm wondering if you can run down what your recommendations are for people to have on hand right now in Spanish.
Of course. Buenos días, buenas tardes. Habla Blanca Zarazua, abogada de migración. Quería darle unos detalles porque vemos que hay muchas detenciones a nivel local en el condado y también a nivel pues nacional en todas partes. Quiero que por favor hagan ejercicios de meditación, traten de mantener la calma, porque sin calma se toman decisiones equivocadas. Entonces, con calma podemos reaccionar de una forma más prudente. Entonces, necesitan ustedes suponer que alguien puede ser detenido, que no sea una sorpresa para ustedes. Es algo horrible y espantoso, pero hay que prepararnos, como digo, convertir el miedo en preocupación y luego en planificación. Tenemos que formular una estrategia, no estar ahí en parálisis cuando pasa algo, sino ya estar preparado y suponer que va a pasar lo peor. Hay muchos sitios en el internet donde usted puede conseguir información de cómo hacer un paquete de documentos importantes. Está el sitio de web del condado, donde también hay muchos recursos allí. Tome un día para repasarlos, para hacer un plan de ataque, de defensa para usted y su familia y empiece a juntar esos documentos que son tan importantes. Eh, Hay un despacho en Aptos, California, donde la abogada se llama Tania, es abogada y puede ayudarle a usted para elaborar documentos legales para que otras personas se ocupen de sus hijos si es necesario, sin que usted pierda la patria potestad. Entonces usted no va a dejar de ser madre o padre de ese niño simplemente porque elabora un documento. Son documentos para prevenir, en dado caso, si lo detienen o lo deportan. Son documentos que dicen que no entran en vigor a menos que usted sea detenido. Y luego ya tiene todo ya hecho para que alguien se ocupe de sus hijos, si tienen que ir al doctor, si tienen medicina especial, si necesitan alguna información en la escuela, alguien con autorización legal para que no se queden desamparados sus hijos. También listas de medicamentos especiales que quizás necesiten sus hijos, etcétera. Un sinfín, hay mucho, pero es mejor tenerlo ya listo. Eh, en mi oficina tenemos paquetes de emergencia donde usted puede ir, no hay ningún cobro, simplemente llame y allí el personal le da un paquete de emergencia. Mi número es el 831-422-0302. 831-422-0302 y puede ir a la oficina en el centro de Salinas, 313 Salinas Street y le dan un paquete donde va a tener una tarjeta roja, la tarjeta roja, famosa tarjeta. Nomás es para recordarle a usted y al oficial que usted va a mantener el silencio si es que tiene un intercambio con alguna autoridad migratoria. No es necesario tener la tarjeta roja, pero es mucho más fácil entregarle la tarjeta al oficial que recordarse uno bajo esas circunstancias de que usted quiere permanecer en silencio. También hay una hoja, la G28, que es muy importante. Es parte de 4 hojas, un consentimiento oficial para que un abogado lo pueda representar en caso de una detención. La tercera hoja es la que nosotros les damos porque necesitamos su firma original en esa hoja para tener su consentimiento si acaso llega a ser detenido. El resto del consentimiento lo podemos llenar su familiar, su amigo, quien sea de confianza, allí en la oficina y luego ya tengo acceso yo con las autoridades, porque sin consentimiento no voy a poder tener acceso a usted, hacer una cita virtual o telefónica cuando usted está detenido. Entonces, por favor, consigan esa hoja. También la puedan conseguir en el internet. Es el formato G28, Notice of Appearance. Entonces, en la página 3 puede imprimir esa página y imprimir 20 ejemplares y que todo el mundo firme esa hoja para tenerlo por si sea necesario. Muchas gracias. Ustedes no están solos. Estoy aquí para apoyarlos. Muchas gracias.
Blanca, thank you so much for doing that two times. And I think if there was one thing you could tell the community right now about our current environment, about what people are seeing, maybe small amounts locally, but in much larger amounts elsewhere, tumultuous times, what would you tell the community their best course of action right now would be?
Again, I think it is to try to be calm, form a plan, and get that G28 signed. Entonces, mis recomendaciones son que mantengan la calma, que formulen un plan estratégico de familia y que consigan ese formato G28 y que lo firmen y lo tengan listo por si se ofrece la ocasión.
And you mentioned the county website and you mentioned the red card, and I'm going to take a minute to share where that information is on the county website. So if you go to countyofmonterey.gov to our homepage, right in the center, a little bit below, one little scroll, it says Know Your Rights. And you can click there. And there is a resource page here that remains up for our community. There are videos in English, Spanish, and other Indigenous languages. There are videos from our previous forums, which are extremely informative about many of the things that Blanca, you just mentioned, and what people should be prepared for. There's also a lot of resources here. There's just a lot here. So if you need resources, this is a great place to go and just see what is here and what you might need. And at the bottom of this, there's, again, a lot here. There is something titled the red card. And so this is what Blanca was talking about. And you can see the red card is here. You can print it, or you can also get a red card in person at our libraries. Our library director will be on next, and she just reminded me that the red cards are available at the library, but they're also available at many of the community organizations that are noted on this page. So we just want to make sure that you are aware and reminded that there is a lot of online information available, as well as to your point, Blanca, to reach out if you need help. If they need legal help, don't be afraid to reach out and get the help that you need. I don't have any other questions for Blanca. Any last words you'd like to share with us, Blanca, before we move on to our next topic?
I think that people should find comfort knowing that they are in the state of California. If they are, we have a very supportive environment politically in California, as you can see by all of the litigation that's being initiated by the Attorney General. I think locally, Monterey County also is a very supportive environment. And we have many legal practitioners who are at the front lines, ready to go to help you. Entonces, quiero decirles que tienen que por lo menos saber que están en el mejor estado, yo creo, en Estados Unidos para inmigrantes. Aquí tienen mucho apoyo, hay mucho litigio porque el gobernador y su equipo están peleando esta administración. También el condado ha sido un condado con mucho apoyo hacia el migrante. Por eso hay tanta información y tantos recursos, porque están a favor de que ustedes puedan permanecer aquí con sus familias. Y por último, hay mucha gente dedicada a nivel legal, jurídica, a protegerlos. Entonces, estamos aquí para ustedes. Ustedes no están solos, estamos con ustedes. Muchas gracias.
Blanca, thank you so much for being here and providing these insights. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
On to our next topic. Our library's wonderful summer reading program has launched, and it is a great program for both kids and adult. You don't have to be a kid to get involved in summer reading. And of course, the summer reading program is so much more than just books. We're very pleased to have Hillary Thayer here, our library director, to talk about the summer's program. Hi, Hillary.
Thank you so much for inviting me today, and I'll put links in the chat for all the details and just cover the basics. But we have once again launched a really fun summer for all ages, all for free through your Monterey County free libraries. We are doing summer reading, which is our reading incentive program for the whole family. You can sign up online and participate online. You may come into the library and get your reading log in person. You can mix and match. And it is to promote reading. They don't have to be library books. They don't have to be books for school. It is just to read and keep reading throughout the summer. We also have a bunch of shows and activities for you, sponsored generously by our foundation. So magic, animals, arts and crafts, make some tie-dye, paint, all sorts of stuff going on. I recommend for the details following the links I've put in the chat or looking at our homepage. It's right on our homepage at www.emcfl.org, or calling your local branch and finding out what's going on at the local branch library. The second element we do in the summer is lunch at the library. And this is a combination of many funds and many supporters. Kids need to eat all year round. Many kids rely on that free school lunch as maybe their best meal of the day, or maybe their most nutritious meal of the day. What doesn't exist all year round for many, many kids is school. So in the summer, we try to step in. We partner with our school districts who have the cafeterias and the food plans and the know-how to make these great meals. They rely on their funding that they have year-round. They make food, we pick it up, and we serve it at our libraries. So the schedule is different, but every branch is participating, and you can find your schedule for lunch at the library. The lunches come restricted to kids 18 and under, and you have to eat on site. However, we also bring in partners such as the Monterey County Food Bank to come distribute food. So yesterday I visited Greenfield Library's first program, and while all those kids were munching down on their burgers and their lunches delivered from the school, Monterey County Food Bank was loading up bags of fresh green veggies and fresh fruit to go home with families. All of this is completely free to everyone in the community. And I put the links in the chat and just want to be here to answer any questions before you go explore, sign up, start reading, and come see us this summer.
Hillary, thank you so much. And if people have not been to some of the programs that you guys put on for the summer, it is really amazing. People may just be so thinking I just have a reading log and I'm just going to fill up my log and I might get a prize, or I might, be happy that I read that many books. But some of the events that you guys do are really, really fun. And I wonder if you just talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. We try to cover all sorts of topics and interests and bring a show or an opportunity to the library so that you can enjoy it with a crowd. For example, one of our best events is when all the community members get to play music together. So they may hand out rhythm sticks and tambourines and drums. And I want you to just envision 100 kids all engaging in music at the same time in a lovely environment. We also bring in animal shows, magicians, bubbles, and hopefully bringing in some experience so that you can just come to your library and enjoy all in the same place at the same time with your community. So we also have the arts. We have a teen program where you can tie-dye something. And this was so popular last year, people were bringing bed sheets, to tie-dye in the library, because setting up the vats of the dye and the rubber bands and that's something you might not do at home, but we're going to set up the materials for you at the library. And if you don't want to bring something, we will provide something for you to tie-dye. Maybe you've never done it before, and we're going to let you enjoy this form of art. That one you do have to sign up for, but just give your library a call and sign on up, grab your spot. We also do painting, and that's for adults in all ages. We give you the easel, the canvas, the paint, and the paintbrushes to really enjoy the art of painting in person. And we try to make it a all ages enjoyable summer.
Hillary, thank you so much for running this down. This sounds like my kids' early birthday parties, but I don't have to clean up afterwards.
Exactly. We get to do that part for you.
Thanks very much for running it down. And we encourage everyone to go, if they haven't looked at the schedule or gotten their reading log, to use those links and get to it. Thanks for being here, Hillary. And last but not least, finally, MC Hopes is the Monterey County Suicide Prevention Coalition. And this week, there is a very special coalition meeting that everyone really should take advantage of because it's going to explain our local system of crisis response and how people can get help in a mental health crisis. We're very pleased to have Carly Memoli here. She is going to talk about this coalition meeting. Plus, there are other trainings that people can take advantage of. Hi, Carly. Thanks for being here.
Hi there, thank you. And should I share my slides or did you guys want to do that?
Oh, you're welcome to share your slides.
Okay, just two shakes of a lamb's tail here. And Hillary, thanks for all that great information. Our family will be signing up for the summer reading program today. It's always kind of an anchor point for us during the summer to make sure that we have good things on deck. So libraries are amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me today for a few minutes. I'm coming back today to talk a little bit about some of our activities with the McHopes Coalition. If you're wondering, what is the McHopes Coalition? We are a group of individuals across the county. We have been working together and have been funded through Monterey County Behavioral Health to implement local suicide prevention activities and to bring the community together around this important issue that touches so many of our lives. We're a group of community members, helpers, service providers, and folks who have personal experience of mental health challenges or suicide. We meet, we learn together on specific topics, we support and coordinate local suicide prevention activities, and really do our best to involve everyone in the community. We use what's called a comprehensive approach to suicide prevention, which means we look at all the different strategies and programs that have been shown to be successful in preventing suicide, and we work on implementing those that we can locally. We also use a cultural model to look at how our different experiences and backgrounds shape our mental health crisis and our suicide prevention needs across the community. Part of this work is working to ensure that everyone in the community has access to information and resources. So first, I just want to let folks know that our coalition has materials available. We're happy to join events. We can provide presentations and trainings. And in this year, we've actually started consulting with local programs, businesses, local organizations who are working on their own practices. What can they do to support their employees or their clients' well-being? How can they support their clients' mental health? What should they do if someone they encounter is having thoughts of suicide or has a family member who's struggling? All the way up to how should they handle it if there's a loss related to suicide in the community? How do we take care of the people who are impacted? One of our current programs is also doing trainings throughout the community to help more people gain the skills to get help for themselves or for somebody else who might be struggling. This spring, so far, we've trained over 200 community members and are sharing information about our training program in the hopes that more people will take advantage of these free opportunities. The folks we've trained so far include everyone from high school and college students to healthcare and mental health service providers, first responders, educators, and community members from all walks of life. We're hoping that folks will share the word about our upcoming trainings, which I'll share in a moment. And I also want to let folks know that this program has been funded for another year through Monterey County Behavioral Health. So we will be releasing our schedule from July through the following June coming up shortly. So you'll probably see us again for that announcement. Very briefly, I wanted to let folks know about two signature trainings that we've started for all community members. These two trainings are sort of they're partner modules, and they take what we call a cultural approach to talk about mental health and talk about suicide prevention. Be Sensitive, Be Brave for Mental Health infuses culture and diversity through a foundational workshop on mental health. This prepares community members to help friends and loved ones during times of distress. We can learn how to recognize mental health conditions, what to do when someone needs support, and also work on tools for maintaining good mental health. We also want to let folks know that the companion training to this, and we've got a couple opportunities coming up here in June. We will have additional trainings coming up shortly. The companion training to this is Be Sensitive, Be Brave for Suicide Prevention. And I will put all these links in the flyers in the chat in just a moment here. This workshop takes that cultural and diversity-focused approach and applies it to a foundational workshop on suicide prevention. This is a tough topic for people to talk about, and so having a safe space to break down what are the signs of suicide? How do I bring this up with someone that I might be concerned about? What if they are feeling this way? What do I do next? How do I help people stay safe? These are foundational skills that all community members should have to be able to help connect a friend, a family member, themselves, or someone that they're helping with the right support. Participants who attend this workshop learn to identify signs of suicide, ask someone who's considering suicide safely and confidently about their thoughts and their feelings, how to connect someone to the right support, and how to approach this in a culturally sensitive manner. We also do a lot of work around stigma reduction and letting folks know that it is okay to reach out for help. So we hope that you'll share the word about those. Currently, these 2 workshops have been offered in English. Starting in this next year, we will also be offering them in Spanish for our community. And then without further ado, I want to bring us back around. Our next coalition meeting is going to be a really important conversation focused on crisis services in Monterey County. Everyone is welcome to these meetings. Every meeting includes a presentation that's focused on a particular topic that's a priority for us, as well as opportunities for connection, for information sharing, and moving this collective work forward together. These meetings are open to everyone, and we have interpretation available in Spanish for all meetings. Our last session in April was focused on youth suicide prevention, and we took a particular look at local supports like the Epicenter and the Rainbow Connections programs that are working together to support youth in our LGBTQ+ communities. Sometimes we see that these youth are at disproportionate or higher than average risk for suicide due to things like discrimination or not having access to resources. The good news and what we learned together in that meeting is that there is a lot being done and a lot that can be done to create safe and supportive spaces for those youth. In our upcoming meeting, we're going to be talking about the crisis response continuum of care, which is really just a fancy way of saying what happens in Monterey County when someone is thinking about suicide or struggling to stay safe with their mental health. There have been some big changes to our local system over the last few years, and the community's needs around mental health crises are constantly changing. So in this meeting, we're going to have a presentation from Kelly Moulton, Behavioral Health Services Manager for the Community Crisis Team. And Kelly's going to give us a presentation to walk us through those local services, help us understand them, and learn what happens when someone needs help, and then what that looks like so that we can be involved and help connect people with the right help in the right time. We're going to really work to build a shared understanding of what processes and supports are in place, the shifting landscape and legislation around crisis services, and really how we can work together. In all of our meetings, we also dedicate time for participants and members to connect, to share information, ideas, needs, and resources. At this meeting, we're also going to be sharing some of our ideas and plans for July and beyond as we continue to work together to infuse culture and social identity into all of our work around suicide prevention. So I wanted to close with my contact information, and we encourage folks who might be busy with other things going on in the community right now. If you can't come to the meeting next week, if you can't make those next couple of trainings, please feel free to reach out and just drop us an email. We'll get you connected in and you can join when the time is right for you. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter and share these with y'all in the chat. You'll see in a moment the flyers for our trainings that I shared, as well as some of the links to either sign up for a training or to sign up for our coalition meeting next week. I'm happy to take any questions that folks have, and thank you again for a few minutes to talk about this important topic.
Carly, thank you so much for walking through this. There is a lot of information here that you just provided. One question that came up, you talked about people having difficulty talking about this issue in general. Oftentimes we think it's hard for people who may be experiencing the crisis to talk about what they're experiencing. But what you're saying is it may be difficult for people who see something, but they don't know how to talk about it. And is that the kind of thing that they're going to be able to get assistance with through some of these trainings?
Great question. And I would say absolutely. It's what we often encounter is there's a wide range of people, whether it's a pastor or a community leader or just a neighbor who notice that someone might be struggling and they want to help, but they're not sure what to do. And sometimes that leads people to not take action because they're afraid they might say the wrong thing or they don't want to make it worse, or they're just nervous to talk about the topic. So these trainings give people a little more experience, a little more confidence in talking about this, and give them some words they can use and some tools that work when trying to help somebody.
Thank you. And thank you so much for sharing not only the slides, but the flyers. And we'll be sharing the flyers with our media partners afterwards. And we'll be also posting them on our socials. So people who are watching this on Facebook and YouTube will be able to see that as well. Carly, thank you so much for being here and sharing this very important information.
Thank you very much.
And thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing is next time, and we'll see you then.